How's it going, folks? I'm Matthew. This is Lemora's Cards, and today we're going to be taking a look at the past 2 weeks-ish of cEDH tournaments. Going to be looking at events that were 50 or larger. There's not too many that are, over that 60 mark, so I'm kind of expanding it a little bit. You can actually do this pretty easily on EDH Top 16 by just setting in the URL, the minimum size for tournaments to equals 50 or whatever you want to see as a filter. I didn't know that until recently. But yeah, we're going to be taking a look at some of these big events like SCGCON, Birdcage, cEDH Madrid, Gamescon, National to cEDH tournament, some of these 3Ks, stuff like that, and what's been doing well in the format. You've got a lot of decks like Raw and Etali kind of having big showings lately. Just some pretty cool stuff happening in the metagame beyond, Temnicrom's winning everything, and some seed order discrepancy on data, which I might look at soon and talk about some of my thoughts on the kind of issues with seed order and current tournament cEDH. If you guys are interested in that, let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know which of these deck lists are your favorite, what deck you're wanting to try out. There's some really cool stuff here. I wouldn't mind proxying up soon. I really love switching around and playing a bunch of different decks. But with all that being said, though, let's go ahead and hop into it. Use the link in the description below to download Whatnot, and you'll get $15 to use to buy Magic singles, sealed product, get anything that you want, really. There's no limits. You just get $15 on the account for free just for signing up. Use the link in the description below. Give Whatnot a try. So this past weekend, we had 3 larger events. We had Birdcage 3, which was won by Temnicrom, Rip and Ship Gaming 10K, that was won by Etali, and the cEDH 5K over at the SCGCON Minneapolis, won by Sam Black. I think since my last video, Sam has won two tournaments, just under 60 players, as he tends to do. He's on a streak right now. And then we also had cEDH Madrid, that was also won by Temnicrom. I think since my last update, I think April 26th, we had some stuff too. cEDH Nationals event that had a Rocco, like a Turbo Rocco list win. I'm really high on Turbo Rocco. We had a Kinnan take down a 50-player event, 3K that was won by Najila. A lot of stuff around 50-ish players right now. Not as many things hitting that 60 plus. There still are some, but there are a lot of events that just are shy of it. I might look at doing like 50-player-ish coverage. You actually can filter on EDH Top 16 by just manually putting it in the URL, the like minimum size equals 50. So you don't see like every single tournament that happens because there's lots of just like 5-player FNMs. So at Madrid, we had 2 Rog Thrases here, another Rocco. Another bit of a theme here, again, is that Raul Monsoon Mage is doing really well. Marnius, Aractos, Tivit, Zacama. We're going to come back to this one. I got to figure this out. Tyam, Dog Thras, or Thrasios Yoshi, which is a list that's been getting a little bit of love recently. Some players looking at it, especially like a lot of Rog Thras players that I think like the security of white, and they tend to, I don't know if Yoshi is just better than Rog. You do get a whole extra color because most of the Rog Thras lists aren't heavily leaning into red, but the way that a lot of people play, I do think Yoshi is better, and it might also just suit what they enjoy. Maybe we'll do a video comparison on Yoshi versus Rog. I think it's a little bit less cut and dry than a lot of people make it seem. Might be something we look into discussing. But first, I gotta look at the Zacama deck. All right, so Zacama Primal Calamity, if you didn't know, is a 7-mana Naya commander that has Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. And you can spend 2 in a red to deal 3 damage to target creature, 2 in a green to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and 2 in a white to gain 3 life. Doesn't have a mode on it that is easily converted into a win, so I'm guessing it's kind of Naya control-y. If you do get it into play, if you're able to cheat it with like the Raptor that gives them Prowl. I really don't know what we're cooking here. We do have Invasion of Ikoria as a creature tutor and Minsk and Boo. Value engine, we see in these colors sometimes. All right, the creatures. Let's learn. We do have a Hunting Velociraptor, that's its name. So that will make your Zacama cost only 2 in a red. Deep Known Terramancer. So lots of value-y stuff, not really any stacks. Beast Rider, Vanguard. I think this is a mana outlet. You spend 5, look at the top 3, put a permanent card into your hand. So we have an outlet to basically get our entire deck, or at least all the permanents. Moonblessed Cleric and Squeeze. So we're doing food chain stuff. It will convert our infinite food chain mana into real mana because we will be casting it and untapping our lands. Zacama isn't necessarily an outlet in that we don't have a way to win the game with dealing damage to a creature. I don't think we have a creature in here that does something goofy with that. But it will let us convert that mana into real mana. So like pump it into Beast Rider, for instance. Jolly Balloon Man creates a token that's a copy of target creature you control. So we do have like the Kiki Jiki, Bellringer, Felidar Guardian. We're not doing Vivian. We've got Kiki Felidar. We've got Sigarda, Font of Blessings. Other permanents you control have hexproof. You can look at the top card of your library anytime. You can cast Angels and Humans from the top. We do have a lot of humans. I have not seen this as an engine, but again, if we're assembling infinite mana, we do want more chances to hit something that does something with that. But maybe this is just a decent enough engine. Curious. And then we're also on Oriok Salvagers to do infinite mana stuff. Sorceries, 5 tutors. Not many instants. Silence itself, Archdruid's Charm, Cosmic Rebirth. It's a pretty fun one. Brings back a permanent card in your graveyard. Nothing too wild here. Just some mana in the One Ring. We are in the LED for that Oriok Salvagers. Enchantments, Carpet, Deafening Silence. We see this like sometimes these would pop up in like Rocco's, other like Naya cards that aren't full stacks, leaning into like pure Rule of Law, but if they're creature heavy, do this. Fertile Ground and Wild Growth. Birthing Ritual, card we haven't seen too much of. Food Chain, 29 lands. We're just doing Zacama stuff, I guess. There's not really that clean of an outlet. Like Zacama itself comes down and you have this monster that does control the board. People can't have creatures or artifacts, enchantments, which is pretty nice. And then we're Kiki comboing or, you know, doing an infinite finale or something along those lines after that. Very odd approach to Naya. I'm really curious how this plays on average. Like how many Zacamas are we casting? Stuff like that. Not a deck I've seen before. I'm going to take a look at this Yoshi Thras real quick to kind of give an idea of what we're looking at here. It is very similar to like a step slower kind of Bant version of Rock Thras. We get access to like silence effects and other good white cards like the Fairy, Esper. Going a little higher on the value engines, we don't always see like Deep Gnome and Archivist here, but there they are. Derevi's a card that lines up pretty great in these kind of decks. Monastery Mentor, that's a cool one. A lot of these are playing a Abhorrent Oculus as a way to create a lot of creature tokens. We got Devoted Druid. Bright Glass Gearhulk, a really strong card this deck gets access to. Druid of Purification is like a good card we saw. Sort of Sand Black start running in Rock Thras, and that start being used by other Rock Thras players. Buncho Creature Tutors. Wargate, another thing you get access to when you move to Bant. Instance is where the deck gets different. You don't have as much free broken stuff that Rogue-Rack enables. SWAT and the Red Flare. You don't really have that much incentive to play Yoshi. That's kind of been the awkward part of it, where people are like, well, he only costs one more, but like Yoshi turn 1 is so dead of a play when he only enables Fierce Guardianship versus Rogue-Rack, which enables Fierce SWAT, Red Flare. You just have so much free interaction and just broken stuff that's enabled by it. So it is like usually a touch slower, but you get access to like Enlightened Tutor, the silence effects. So it's the Plowshares, which is, just a good card. Eladamri's Call, another good tutor. We are in the Born here and the Snap. No Chord of Calling, notably. It's a big Rock Thras staple. Candelabra, we are still doing that. Map, Fast Mana, Machine God's Effigy, and the One Ring. 10 enchantments run the Training Grounds along with the Biometric Familiar we saw. Flip reconfiguration. I really like Devoted Druid more when you have a really cheap way to use it, and also it's less of a cost to find it when you have like Enlightened Tutor and Wargate to go get those combo pieces. Whereas in Rock Thras, once we moved away from artifact focused combos, it became a lot harder to just tutor for Machine God's Effigy, for instance. 28 lands. We're on the Deserted Temple, Cradle, Mysterized Village. Again, very, very similar to like what a Rock Thras list does, but we are a true 3-color deck. It's like more of a cost to support things like Earthcraft, really just your mana base in general. You have to think more about what you're fetching for. Prioritizing an early Yoshi, might come at some cost if most of your plays for, turns 2 and 3 are mainly more Simic focused, stuff like that. So it is an option. I think it is a really cool deck. I think it's really fun, and messing around with the things that it can do better and that are work a little bit better. One thing with Rock Thras is we really moved away from Neoform and Eldritch Evolution, mainly because of the blow up potential. But also, these have always been awkward cards. When one of our commanders makes it really dead, Neoforming on a 1-drop, even Eldritch Evolutioning into a 2-drop is just okay. But when you have Yoshimaru, you have more potential to like Neoform him into your Aboro Breeze Caller or a Grand Abolisher, Eldritch Evolution him into a Derevi. So you have like more options that make that card a lot more appealing. Looking at SCG, we're missing some deck lists because SCG kind of doesn't do them themselves. T&K, Yuriko, Lumra, Inalla. Really sick. Get Rog. These events are non-proxy. Tend to see that at least a little bit. Here we got the Shorkai, Francisco Ishai. That's kind of cool. I'm not sure what's going on here. I want to say this commander was something different. When they posted a picture of the top 4, I thought it was something different. Let me look. Yeah, because in the top 4 picture they posted, one of the players had a Tivit, so I'm not really sure if there was a deck submission thing or the picture was wrong. But the top 4 of Emry, Arkham Dagson being there is just sick. I love Emry. I think Emry so cool. Arkham Dagson is pretty cool too. The magic card Emry Lurker of the Lock is just one of my favorite cards ever. So we'll take a look at a couple of these. Maybe a little bit of a quick look. So we got an Inalla that has some interesting cards I wanted to point out. Just some sort of more value-centric wizards. So we got Thundertrap Trainer, you know, Thras staple, wizard with a good ETB, Dragonologist, new card out of Tarkir, which is a 3-mana creature. When it enters, you look at the top 6, you may reveal an instant, sorcery, or dragon card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest on the bottom, and then untap dragons you control of hexproof. I had thought about this card alongside Thundertrap Trainer. Thundertrap being able to hit enchantments and artifacts really helps a lot in terms of like application and Rock Thras. Also, it being an otter is pretty nice. This deck is going to be more instant and sorcery heavy. There's like 50 of them, so I think it makes a lot more sense here. Overeager Apprentice, not a wizard, human minion, and then you discard a card, sacrifice it to add 3 black to your mana pool, which is pretty interesting. It's a free card, so basically it has you pitch a card to either mana fix or potentially like net your mana later. But it's also a way to get a card into the graveyard that is part of the cost of activating this, so people can't really interact with it. Spellseeker, of course, kind of a classic for these decks. Scholar of the Ages, also part of a lot of the Spellseeker lines that this deck can do. And then Spectral Arcanist, which is 3 and a blue and a wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you may cast an instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to the number of spirits you control from a graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then that spell gets exiled. So notably, like a lot of Inalla stuff, you can have it enter the battlefield, stack your triggers, make the copy first, and then both of them will see that there's 2 wizards, so you can get 2 2-drop spells. Don't know if this opens up any other new lines. A lot of the stuff you're doing, like Scholar of the Ages, for instance, doesn't exile the cards from yard. Sometimes that's relevant, but like Finale of Promise does exile the cards, right? You know, using a actual on a body and it's a wizard, you know, that Inalla can care about, that's pretty interesting too. They're not doing like the Ruthless Technomancer stuff that we have seen some more wizard-focused Inallas that try to be like either more mid-rangey or just have other options that aren't just the Spellseeker line. Okay, we're not on Oz. See, once we see Blasphemous Act, Oz goes out the window. So we have Cabal Therapy, pretty cool, with a little bit of discard options there. Get stuff in our yard too. On Earth, Reanimate, these are just staples. Lively Dirge, kind of lines up with everything we want to do, really. Persist, so lots of ways to get back our Spellseeker or otherwise other wizards. Notable new inclusion, Stock Up. This card we've seen in a couple Grixis lists, mainly Rock's-Eye. Blasphemous Act, got to deal with those Rog Thrases and those cannons that are doing a little bit too much. Sorceries, we got Flicker Effects, Sacrifice, Deadly Dispute. Additional cost to cast this spell, stack an artifact or creature, draw 2, create a treasure. Gifts Ungiven, first time we've really got to look at deck lists post gifts. We're also on the intuition here. Artifacts, Fast Mana, Vexing Bauble, and Defense Grid, that's kind of cool. Apple of Eden, card we haven't seen too much of lately, but still pops up every now and then, along with the One Ring. No Necro, no Nas. So none of that life total, none of that getting attacked, and very high land count. Like we'd seen Inalla's experiment with very, very low land counts and using like depletion lands and really optimizing to win turn 2. This one maybe looking to go a little bit bigger, really prioritizing lots of mana fixing too. Cavern of Souls, Gemstone Mine, Forbidden Orchard. So on the Urza Saga, which I do love Saga to go get LED or Vexing Bauble. Those options are always really, really nice. Yeah, a little bit of a different take with Inalla, utilizing some cards I have not seen before. Francisco Ishai. So we are Esper, and we have access to the Walking Ballista Francisco combo. What else do we get for moving away from like green or, you know, whatever colors that we've seen? Mainly seen Sultai Francisco decks. The Teferi, Esper, Dranith. White has good cards. Voice of Victory, Grand Abolisher. Heliod also going with the Walking Ballista combo. Oppo also kind of maybe medium option, but just being able to give Francisco some power is kind of nice at making it just a decent card. Lifelink Ishai is kind of hot too. We're on the Kitten Teferi combo. We are Italian, so looking like a, you know, kind of Esper mid-rangey in terms of with the creatures. Sorcery. Hey, we got the Yawgmoth spell. That's sick. Unmarked Grave to go put that Walking Ballista into our graveyard, I'm guessing. Deluge is a wipe. Savine's Wreck, Transmute Artifact. Bunch of tutors. Instance, bunch of tutors. Entomb to put something into the yard. We do have, what is this? Delay, Born, Intuition, and Gifts Ungiven. Might be a popular option going forward. We do get to do like Intuition or Gifts for Savine's Wreck, Walking Ballista, and our Soul Cauldron. Also, you get to do it with Heliod too. Mana intensive, but that one's cool. Muddle, lots of interactive stuff. No Nas yet again. Chromox, just fast mana, Soul Cauldron. We're also on the Grim Monolith here. Are on the Necro and then Rhystic Mystic. 28 lands total with the MDFC. Pretty sick stuff. I haven't seen much messing around with Esper Francisco, but it is an option. Emry, Lurk of the Lock. 2 and a blue. Costs 1 less for each artifact you control. When she enters the battlefield, you mill 4 cards, and you can tap 2-star artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. So we're going to run a lot of artifacts. We have Tezzeret the Seeker, which can mess with our artifacts and also tutor 1 up into play. There are a couple cards that enable infinites pretty easily with Emry, mainly being Mirren Spy, which is when you cast an artifact spell, you can untap target creature. Same thing with Chakram Retriever, which is 5 mana. Whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. So notably, like we have an Emry in play without Summoning Sickness. We can do something like cast the Lotus Petal, trigger one of our combo enablers, untap Emry, Lotus Petal into play, crack it, tap Emry, recast it, do all that over and over and over. And then we can also do that with like Ursa's Bauble to draw our deck on the next upkeep. Same thing with Mishra's Bauble. We can get infinite spells cast with just like Mox Diamond itself with no land to pitch. Do the same thing as Lotus Petal as we did with LED. And then we have like outlet cards in our graveyard. We can use Aether Spellbomb to draw our deck once we've made infinite mana. Really just enables some pretty compact combos. We also got some Isochron Scepter action going on here, but let's look at the top. Mastermind, Thorkel, WinCon. We have the Volatile Storm Drake. No Gilded Drake here. Again, not a proxy-friendly event. Could be a budget constraint. There are marginal upsides with this. If you take control of something that's like a hate piece that you don't want to see. Not so much seeing Collector Oof, but in this kind of event, the upside of being able to just pop an Oof probably comes up every now and then. Aboleth Spawn, a card we haven't seen much of in the post-Dockside world, but copies creature ETBs. Tribute Mage to search up an artifact with mana value 2. A little surprised that it's our only one. No Trinket Mage or anything like that. Placer Kitten, High Fate Trickster is a flash enabler. Urza probably just goes bonkers in this deck. Wandering Archaic. Hullbreaker and Consecrated Sphinx, combo enabler here, massive value engine. Again, we're in mono blue too, so only so many options. Some other like notable cards not here are like Spellseeker. Sorceries, not too many. Get Probe, Transmute, Fabricate, Echo of Eons, and Seagate Restoration. Okay. Lots of instants. We got Consign to Memory, Offer, Into the Flood Maw, on Brain Freeze. Hey, we're a graveyard centric deck, right? We gotta, cast stuff from our graveyard with a commander. We are on the Dramatic Reversal for that ISO Rev, and probably just generally pretty good card. Mana Drain in a mono blue deck. Pick Bind. We're on Intuition Gifts Ungiven. Combo you should, not really a combo, but a combination you should expect to see in a lot of decks, especially ones like this that will just symbol a win. Paradoxical Outcome, I love, and a deck like this. I also think this card just might be underplayed as sort of a Nas adjacent card, or similar to Gifts Ungiven, of just a 4-mana instant that you can hold up that in a lot of scenarios, if it resolves, is going to really help you push a win into the next turn by just bouncing a bunch of your zeros and ones, kind of generic stuff. It's been a card that I thought about in like Rog Thras or even Rog Sai at points. We're Invention Another Tutor, of course. Artifacts, we've got 23 of them, a whole bunch of zeros. Stuff like Tormod's Crypt, which could be hate, Aether Spellbomb, Conjurer's Bauble, which is 1, sack it, put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library, draw a card. Will let us potentially perform some loops, but also just it's another outlet to draw our deck with Emry. A bunch of fast mana, Imposter Mech, clone that is an artifact that's just pretty much upside here. Iso Scepter due to the Iso Rev combo. Assault Monolith, also just pretty good. I don't think we had any combo enablers for it that I saw, unless we're on like Power Artifact. I don't think we are. 1,000-Year Elixir lets us activate Emry as Associated Haste. Then we can also use this to untap her. You guys have a G in one ring, just pretty good. Duress Down, turn off creatures. Again, we're not all, yeah, we do combo with a creature, but we get to, time this to try not to lose. Steel Enchantment, Mirror Maid effects I've been pretty happy with so far in the format. Ristic Study. And this is a really fun one. Psychic Possession, 2 blue, enchant opponent, skip your draw step. Whenever enchanted opponent draws a card, you may draw a card. So this can be a sort of Steel Enchantment-ish effect. Instead, it's just, hey, who's the person at the table that's getting the most advantage? Let me catch up with them with Psychic Possession. Might be an interesting one to test. Did not know about this card. 27 lands. Pretty clean mana base with a whole bunch of basics. Seed of the Synod, Urza Saga, Talon Gates, just the utility lands that are pretty strong here in Inventor's Fair, Cavern of Souls, Gemstone. We've talked a whole lot about Rock Thras, so I'm not going to bore you to death. I'm just going to point out some of the stuff that Sam is using in his current winning list. Made a couple swaps. I can't remember if the last time we looked at it, but he did move on to the Reality Chip, which is starting to become something of a staple in Rock Thras at least. Wall of Roots coming back in for him. This is just a generally pretty okay card, it being a creature that can come in and immediately get you back the green pip on top of, like all the different ways that we can turn creatures into mana, both with, Cradle and Cradle untaps, but also just Enduring Vitality, Cryptolith Rites. This can be sort of a double dork. Still on the Druid of Purification. Nothing else really new with the creature package. He is back on Invasion of Ikoria though. That's a card that has come in and out based sort of on what we're doing and what we're prioritizing. Right now, our best combo enabler is Abora Breeze Caller, which is not a human. There's not that many human targets at this point that you would normally tutor for. Really, it's Spellseeker, Cannon, which isn't a combo enabler at this point, and the Trinket Mage. There's not that many you would typically tutor for. Most of our tutor targets are non-human. On the Green Suns, Finale, of course. Traverse the Ubermaul is still on that. He was on Analyze the Pollen, has moved away from that. Nature's Rhythm, one of the best cards we've had printed for this deck in quite a while. Just absolutely insane. Almost always represents just a 1-card win con. He's still on the Sylvan Scrying. Not really big changes over here in the instance. Still no like Force Negation, Swan Song, which we've seen in like Wounded and Pigeons lists. Bunch of creature tutors, free interaction other than Flusterstorm artifacts. Notably, Sam is no longer on the One Ring. This is a card I've also cut. Haven't missed it so far. It's just fine. Oh, I forgot. The other big notable creature that he's not on is he's cut Displacer Kitten. I've had Displacer Kitten come in and out of my list. I was not running it towards the tail end of the pre-ban meta. I've been pretty high on it in general. It's one of those cards that it's hard. It makes it like, it's almost like bait to evaluate your cards based on it because it's so broken with so many different creatures. But we have moved away from a lot of ETB focused stuff. A lot of it now is like Spellseeker, Thunder Trap. There's no Imperial Recruiter. So there's like a little bit less of that, but we still are like Cloud of Fairies, Spellseeker, Clone focused deck. I'm currently on Kitten. Sometimes it is a dead card. Sometimes it's hard to get it going, similar to how Hullbreaker Horror can be hard to enable in like low resource positions. So, you know, it's a card to consider. Doesn't do anything on its own, technically. It's just a 2/2. And I know Sam is really big on not appearing threatening. Like I was mentioning, the One Ring gone, still on the Machine God's Effigy. I think the One Ring is just mid. The thing that really got me to cut it was just how often I was activating Thrasios and bottoming the One Ring because it just wasn't that good. Back on this Storm Chaser's talent, which I think he actually has been on for a little bit. And that's kind of replacing Kitten in some regards, where you can, you know, as an energy make a 1/1, and then when you level it up, you return an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. So you can use this to do like this town loops with cards that make mana. Kind of similar how you would do with Eternal Witness and Displacer Kitten, still on Ristic Mystic, Growing Rights. Up to 30 lands, pretty high land count. On the Dryad Arbor still, Flooded Grove, he's on, I think, 3 basics. Now on Urza's Cave, a card that's been a consideration for pretty much the whole time it's been out, has been deemed mostly slow. I think kind of my thoughts on it have been, I would only add it if I was going upland. So I think the way that Sam did it is correct because it's already getting a little tough on our mana base with Ancient Tomb, Deserted Temple, Emergent Zone, Dryad Arbor, Hedge Maze, Mistrise Village, Talon Gates, Urza Saga, Shifting Woodlands to have lands that don't really function in the early game. And the more of them you add to your deck, the harder it gets. So I would probably only add another colorless land if I took one out or if I went up on the land count. I think as now that we're a Breeze Caller focused deck, going higher on lands just kind of works. There are a lot of people who are doing like Training Grounds, Biomancer's Familiar, kind of taking advantage of that. Thras activation, focus, lands, Breeze Caller stuff. Cards like Tiller Engine and Amulet of Vigor also been considerations. But yeah, this is what Sam's currently on, and he is absolutely destroying it. Next up, Rip and Ship. We got Jorman missing his deck list. What the heck, Jorman? Probably Timna Thrasios, but we'll never know, I guess. Yuriko, another Wheelie Odd. To say we got TNT, Thras Vial. Conversion rate above 0 now, guys. Lily was at this event. Lily and Jordan were here. Where was this event at? I didn't see it. Lily on Malcolm Vial. Jordan on Timna Crom. Finally playing a good deck. Jesus. Another Wheelie Odd. Magda, and then a Magda in the top 4. Tevesh, Thras, Master Keys, Etali as our winning deck list. We're going to take a look at this Thras Vial because I don't get to see a lot of these. We got a Karn. That's new. I haven't seen one of those out of a 4-color pile. Okay. Deathrite. So a whole bunch of dorks. We're on Biomancer's Familiar. Bloom Tinder. Did not know this frame existed. Marvin. Pretty good with Bloom Tinder. Skill Borrower. 2 and a blue. Play with the top card of your library revealed. As long as the top card of your library is an artifact or creature, that's all activated abilities of that card. Okay. We also have a Stella Lee, so we can give a Skill Borrower. We like Vamp Tutor for Stella Lee or Worldly Tutor, whatever. We have some top deck shenanigans. This is a cool card. Okay. Not aware of this one. Really interesting. We're on Spellseeker and Micromancer, which is the 4-mana Spellseeker that searches for mana value 1. So really prioritizing, I'm guessing, those top deck tutors for that kind of thing. But in general, some instant or sorcery cost 1. And we're even on Llanowar Elves. You don't see that too often in 4-color decks. And Hullbreaker Horror, which can be an outlet for our Thrasios. Okay, so we're very creature activated ability focused, but we also have Stella Lee, which is not a card we see too much of. We have seen some like piles kind of opt to run Stella Lee as a combo in the 98 or 99. Sorceries, we got the Imp Sealed, bunch of just tutors and Mnemonic Betrayal. Instance, we're on Banishing Knack, Behind the Mask. 1 mana as additional cost to cast this spell. Collect evidence 6. You may. Till end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/3. If evidence was collected, it has base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn instead. That's mostly like a combat trick version of this. I mean, maybe that part comes up too. So what does that do? The plot is thickening. We are on Quick Reflexes, Vitalize, Dramatic Reversal. So a bunch of combo cards with Stella Lee. We might also be on Icy-Crown Scepter. Top deck tutors, Born, No Naws, bunch of interaction. We're on Tainted Pack, Cord, Snap. Assault Monolith, we were on Kinnan. We're on Grinding Station. Also on, so we're Breach Grinding Station, no Brain Freeze, no LED. So Value Breach, but Grinding Station. So I guess technically not Value Breach, but not full Breach line. So weird. And then enchantments are training grounds also, the copy enchantment, bunch of duels, stuff like that. We are a cradle deck. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. So I kind of see the vision with some of this, right? Where we can have a skill borrower with like a grinding station or Stella Lee on top. Marvin can copy those abilities. I don't see the purpose to not run brain freeze other than I guess card quality concerns. Oh, well, we can turn target artifact into an artifact creature. Oh, so we can make Basalt Monolith a creature, and then its ability is reduced. And so it goes infinite by itself with like a training grounds. And same deal with if we Basalt on top with Skill Borrower, its ability is reduced, tap, untap it, go infinite. All right, I've put some pieces together. Okay, I'm starting to figure out some of the stuff that's going on here. Okay, that is pretty cool. I would not have seen that. Same thing with like, we can turn this thing into a grinding station, stuff like that. Okay, I see it. I see it. Really cool stuff. Tevesh Thras. Is it doing land stuff? Gretchen. That's the other Thrasios, right? Blue green, 2 blue green, draw a card. You may put a land card of your hand onto the battlefield. So there's upsides and downsides versus Thrasios, but I have not seen that in the 98 or 99. We're doing Micah Spawn, Brewmaster for Devoted Druid, Dosen to lock people out. Gretchen, what a cool one. Typebinder and Subtleties, so looking to interact on a hard to interact with sort of axis. Micah Spawn here, Seedborn. On the Pure into the Abyss. Okay, we believe in something. MCL DT, Meme Bet, 2 creature tutors. No finale. Instance, we've got the Mystical, Quick Reflexes, Crick Bind, Born. So we're really prioritizing sort of hard to interact with Disruption. Salt Monolith, still Arcane Signet. Null One Ring. Carpet, Survival, Necromancy, huh? Necromancy being able to be instant speed is probably actually a really relevant part of this. Just like refiring an endurance, so a Tide Binder, instant speed, refire your Brewmaster combo, whatever. And then Carpet Flowers, Survival of the Fittest to assemble that. Cradle, we're in the Village, Talon Gates, Takanuma, and Yavimaya. Okay. And then Urza Saga. Okay. Pretty cool stuff on Thras Tevesh. You never really know what one of these is going to look like. Sometimes they're just like the most Sultai good stuff you've ever seen. Sometimes they really lean into more of the Rock Thras style engines. This one really leaning into like creature interaction and recursion, as well as Pure into the Abyss. And then our winner, Etali, a deck that wasn't really doing that well pre-ban and has really mostly fallen off in terms of performance, but still just has really diehard players, which you always got to respect. This one running Minsc and Boo, which I've seen a decent amount. It's just a good backup. You're good at generating mana. You get this thing out turn 1, turn 2. It's pretty great. And then Chandra Flame Shaper, 7 mana. It's not one of the Chandras that says can't be countered, which I'm spooky about. 6 loyalty, +2, add red, 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 exile the top 3 cards of your library. Choose one, you may play that card this turn. +1, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice it, so you get another Etali. And then -4, it deals 8 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers, so a bunch of effects that can immediately impact the board. Give us another Etali. Creatures, Dorks, Lumberjack, Ragavan. We're on the Shusher and the Dusty Spinner. Tend to see those in these decks. On Burgi, Dualcaster. A lot of creatures here. 28. Hunting Velociraptor, Sticker Goblin, Magus, Jaxus the Troublemaker. We've seen a good bit. Roaming Throne to double those dinosaur triggers. Warning Archaic. Great. Hellkite Course, another way to get another Etali. Harrogast, the card I've heard about in Etali's. 9 mana. Emerge 6 red, which means you can cast this by sacking a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by the creature's mana value. So in this instance, this creature costs 6 red. We can reduce it by 5 red. So for 1 mana, we can sacrifice Etali, exile your hand, draw 3, and then each creature spell you cast has emerge, being able to sack a creature to like recast your Etali, for instance. Then we got Emrakul. Cast trigger, baby. I think Emrakul is just kind of good right now. Just gets reduced naturally throughout the course of the game. Very hard to interact with. Sorceries, some tutors, Metamorphosis is another, like a sacrifice style effect. Nature's Rhythm is broken. Twin Flame, Electro Duplicate, which is a similar effect, which is kind of like a Twin Flame effect, except also has flashback, costs 2 red. Heat Shimmer, Justice Will, Wheel, and Last March of the Ints can't be countered. Draw a bunch of cards. And then putting a number of creatures from hand into play, which is ridiculous. Instants, not too many. Red Rituals, Fast Mana, Cloudstone Curio, Curse Mirror, love it. One Ring. And then we got the Food Chain, Breach, Sylvan Carpet, 28 lands. We're on the Dryad Arbor, Grove of the Burn Willows, Talon Gates here, Cradle, City of Traders. Yeah, just jamming out Etali as fast as you can. I like the tech. I like the Harrogast, the Emrakul. Really cool stuff here. I actually do really like Etali. I hate on Food Chain, but when your commander actually has text on it outside of Food Chain, and then sometimes you just get to high roll into Food Chain. Also, Etali is just high roll into this freaking thing when they flip. So often it's ridiculous. It just doesn't even make any sense. And then we've got Samuel. Don't know what he played. Another Etali Dihada, Malcolm Timna, another Arkham. Got a Raw Monsoon Mage here. Rock Thras, Narset, another Raw Monsoon Mage second, and then a winner being TNK. Ral is on the prowl, dude. I didn't want to rhyme when I said that, but we did. I'm telling you guys, I've been playing this deck even more and more since I recorded that last video talking about it. It is the real deal. Let's take a look at something else though. So we got Dihada, it's just for value. Goblin Engineer, Flame Scroll Celebrant, Welder, Mag does great here. Valky, love it. I hope you get to cast Tibalt sometimes. Luris, I think, is really sick in these kind of decks that just go crazy with stuff in the yard. Voice of Victory, Bergie, Mayhem Devil, Oppo. It's a decent creature count, not just like a pure Turbo Nos Storm shenanigans. You have 20 creatures, you know. Dihada definitely a deck that has the ability to go fast. 17 sorceries, you got the looting, some rituals, scheming symmetry, demonic council. I've been really liking in these Mardu lists. Flicker for our Dihada Flicker combo with Underworld Breach. Trash for Treasure is pretty cool. I actually almost prefer this to the Welders because these just, at least in the games that I've played, you know, I haven't played a ton with the Welder focused decks, but they are just always so freaking hard to get to untap with and do the thing. Trash for Treasure just being kind of a force check on just like, hey, do I have a Citadel or not right now? I don't have the whole turn to let you guys have a chance to deal with it. Got the one wheel and Beseech, Instance, Rituals, Entomb. We got the Path No Swords, which is correct if you're only going to run one in your Bolus Citadel deck. I think close to correct, at least. It has some marginal upside. Chance for Glory and Final Fortune. So 2 of these and opting for the instant speed ones. I really like that. Flare of Dupe, Ad Nauseum. What's our flare count? There's a lot of red creatures hanging around, all right? 9.5 red creatures. Fast mana for artifacts. The really cool Arcane Signet. We are on the Grinding Station, Citadel, Static Prison. Telling you guys, banger. Breach, Necro, and Smothering Tithe. And then 24 lands, pretty low land count. Mount Doom, that one looks so wild. Glimmer Void, card that we used to see a decent amount of cEDH play. It's a weird one. And then we got Raucous Theater as a Surveil land. Spire of Industry, which is Glimmer Void, but safe. Bunch of fetches, yeah. Dihada, I really think Mardu stuff is pretty good right now. I really like jamming into the current metagame and also just having so many silence effects. Revel in Silence, Abolisher, Voice of Victory, Ranger Captain, and then Silence itself is just so much ability to stop other people from playing the game. And Defense Grid in this list too. So there's so much ability to shut people out. Real quick, gonna look at this National de cEDH Mexico 2025, where we had Rocco win it. We're missing a lot of deck lists. I think I had somebody reach out to me to cover this event. Kind of tough when you have this many lists missing, but we do some really cool stuff. Turbo Rocco, Crick, Kinnens, Derevi, a couple TNTs, Djeru and Hazoret. A lot of TNTs in Kinnan, Jesus. Well, let's take a look at this one. Djeru and Hazoret, 2 red, red, white. Human God. As long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, it has Vigilance and Haste. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may exile a legendary creature from among them. Put the rest of them out of your library in a random order until end of turn. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. So you tend to rush this thing out, and you have a bunch of legendaries that are insane off the top. We are on 46 creatures. A lot of them are legendary because we want hits. I mean, Jesus Christ. Emrakul, Ulamog, Elishnorn, Rhea, Dawnbringer. Especially prioritizing things that give you extra combats because it is an attack trigger. Ulamog, Kozilek. I have played against one of these before, and sometimes it's worth it just like lose your hand and just like, you know, like LED out Djeru and just flip and, you know, try to flip into, you know, your Ulamogs or Emrakuls or whatever, Etalis. Too many creatures. Shadowfax teaching them the meaning of haste. Winota just in there. I mean, you might as well, right? When your deck looks like this. This is just ridiculous. I'm not going over all these creatures. I just want to highlight this insanity. Yoshimaru in the 99 here. Sorceries, mana, and extra combats. What do you know? Instance, Angel's Grace, extra turn, Flawless Maneuver. I mean, I guess it does protect your stuff. Flare of Dupe, and then artifacts, fast mana. They're not on the LED, so they're not turboing out the commander that much. Other stuff, we have Collector's Cage, which is kind of cool. It's 1 white for Hideaway 5, so when it enters, look at the top 5, exile a card. Then you can spend 1, tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may play the exile card. Basically another way to cheat a big old monster into play. This has been like kind of a thing in Modern. Mindstone, Talisman, and then Realm Breaker, which is 3 mana. 2 tap, target opponent mills 3, put a land card from their graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. Then we'll leave the battlefield exile instead. You can spend 10, sack it, search your library for any number of Praetor cards, put them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle, which gets us Elishnorn, Urabrask, Elishnorn. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff. We got Urza's Incubator. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 less to cast. Might just be God to ramp this thing out. That's pretty sick. And then 32 lands. Wow, that's a high land count. Wild. Then lastly, we got Turbo Rocco. Got the Vivian on the hunt. Voice of Victory. New great option to expect to see in every single white deck. Flashy Wayfarer gives our Rocco Convoke. Molten Gatekeeper, 2 and a red. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can unearth it for 1 red. So you can use that as like an impact trimmers effect to kill the table at the end. Not sure if other value it might have. The unearth thing might be okay. Sumberwald Sage, 2 and a green. Add 3 mana of any 1 color. Spends mana only to cast creature spells, so that can really set you up for Rocco. We got the Sui, Bell Ringer, Twin Shot Sniper, Greater Gargadon to sack our Erectors or our Rocco if we need to. Getting off the white, doubling it. We have seen this a little bit in some of the Rocco decks when Lord of the Rings hit. Sorcerer is just the 2, Eldritch and Infernal Plunge. We're zooming. Collateral damage for 1 red, sacrifice a creature, deal 3 damage to our creature or player. So that is another way we can sack a Rector in an uncounterable way because it's as part of the cost. Tutors, removal, Noxious Revival, interaction, Savage Summoning gives your next creature spell. You can cast as though it had flash. It can't be countered and enters with +1/+1 counter. Got our Birthing Pod, One Ring, Carpet, Sylvan Library, Food Chain, and Smothering Tithe. 29 lands. High Market, Cavernous Souls, really prioritizing, Last Step Quarry as well, prioritizing ways to like sacrifice creatures in a very, very hard to interact with or basically impossible to interact with way. I like it. I never liked Rocco stacks. I thought it was lame. I like jamming win attempts, especially when you're just casting creatures to do it. Really, really hard to deal with. Rocco might also be in a really good spot right now. Let me know down below which of these deck lists was your favorite. I am really a big fan of Ral right now. Of course, I've been playing Rog Thras. Going to be playing it as I prep for the Land Go 10K. After that, I'm probably going to take a little bit of a break from it. Maybe sleeve up like some Rocco, where I honestly am kind of interested in Etali lately. I just really like turning my brain off and jamming stuff right now. Rog Size, Ral, which actually Ral is a lot of work, but it is very, very strong and you just do get to jam. But let me know what you're liking right now, what you think of the meta game, what you want to see from me next. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. And as always, go play cEDH. Have a good one, everybody.